Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
Apparently, George Lucas had helped out with the Obi wan Kenobi Disney Plus show a little bit more than we had initially thought so. What's up guys, Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and in this video we are going to be discussing George Lucas and his connection to how he actually had a significant role behind the camera with the Obi wan Kenobi show. Specifically with the Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader scenes. We're gonna go ahead and hop right on into it. In this video, we are going to be taking a read from the Direct's article. I'll have their article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well as a read. Star Wars creator George Lucas had a significant role behind the camera while developing an important sequence in the Obi wan Kenobi Disney Plus show. The Ewan McGregor-led Star Wars series finale showcased the much-awaited and anticipated rematch between Hayden Christensen's Darth Vader and Obi wan Kenobi, which came roughly 10 years chronologically after their last duel on Mustafar in Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. The two former friends, master and apprentice, engage in an intense clash where Kenobi managed to defeat Vader once more before their final confrontation in the 1977's Star Wars A New Hope upon the Death Star. And this comes as a massive surprise. For one, to myself quite personally, I didn't know that George Lucas had any significant role or involvement with the Obi wan Kenobi show aside from creating the characters. But apparently, in a recent interview with Variety, Matthew Wood, Obi wan Kenobi's supervising sound editor, had talked about the development of the sound design for the show's rematch between the titular Jedi of Kenobi and Darth Vader in the finale episode of the show. Matthew Wood confirmed that Star Wars creator George Lucas was the one who had organized the sound team for Kenobi and Darth Vader's rematch, noting that he had the whole team be involved in the project from a very early time, saying that, in quote, "One of the things that we have here at Skywalker Sound is the legacy of working with George Lucas. He really had us be involved in the project from a very early time, so we knew that there was going to be a confrontation between two legacy characters," ending that quote right there, kind of saying that a project into the regards of what the Obi wan Kenobi show was, of where you're going back and bringing these characters back here, down the timeline here chronologically, right before the events of A New Hope, really, with the Obi wan Kenobi show really showcased here, is that confrontation between Vader and Obi wan Kenobi. And so what the supervisor of the sound, Matthew Wood, is saying here is that regardless of how the story and the narrative direction had gone from the beginning, this is something that was a part of George Lucas's overall vision and something that was always anticipated and meant to happen, and that overall score and overall sound usage and all of that type of stuff technically was all kind of something that was been pre-planned or has been in the mind for quite some time. Obi wan Kenobi's supervising sound editor continued by saying that they made sure to honor Ben Burts' legacy at Skywalker Sound, who is a older sound engineer that had worked on previous other Star Wars projects and as well has worked on WALL-E, Making Waves, and a number of other projects. Matthew Wood said that, in quote, "We want to make sure we honor what's come before us, you know, in the legacy of Ben Burtt and what he's created here at Skywalker Sound, and everyone is very respectful of that material," ending that quote right there, as I had mentioned, Ben Burtt being kind of one of the original sound engineers over at Skywalker Sound, working on plenty of other Star Wars projects, as I had mentioned. During the much discussed rematch of Kenobi and Vader, there was a moment of where Darth Vader's mask was shattered by Kenobi in the finale, as we know, and according to Matthew Wood, the sound crew spent an extra set of time working on that specific scene since it was the first time that fans saw Hayden Christensen's face through the mask, saying that, in quote, "We did leave an extra set of time just to work on this one scene because it's a moment of where you know you're seeing the face of Hayden Christensen through the mask for the first time, other than when we put on in Revenge of the Sith. That battle between friends that we finally get to see from the prequel era when we saw them as friends, and then when you see Anakin on the side of a lava flow, and that's the last time Obi-Wan actually sees them. So this was a moment for them to have some humanity," ending that quote right there. It's something that they wanted to take their time with and something that had to be perfect, and they absolutely nailed it. Matthew Wood had gone on to explain how the scene managed to perfectly blend the performances of Hayden Christensen and the original Darth Vader voice actor James Earl Jones, saying that, in quote, "We really wanted to make sure that Hayden Christensen's performance came through from the day, so we had that very fragile and sentiment scene there. But then in the meantime, we also had the voice of James Earl Jones to come through, and so we tried a really nice blend of those two moments. We found the great moments of where you can start the sentence with Hayden and end it with James, ending that quote right there. That's exactly what they did, giving us a little bit of an insight there on kind of like, that's a very fragile scene to construct there, and something that's another one of those things that just has to be nailed quite perfectly. And that was one of the best parts of the Obi wan Kenobi show, just overall, especially with this rematch here, of hearing both Hayden Christensen and that original James Earl Jones Vader voice coming through at the same time as well, was incredible. Matthew Wood then goes on to discuss about how the team tried to make the cracked mask sound scary in that scene, saying that, in quote, the mask which keeps him alive is now broken, so his health is failing at the same time, but he's driven by anger. We really tried to make the cracked mask sound scary, like it was starting to malfunction to the point of where his body is not going to be able to function anymore, and so Obi-Wan's effectively leaving him for dead again on this planet, ending that quote right there. Once again, giving us some insight there on like some of those more minor sound engineering techniques that they had used on and with that, and in that scene of what they did to make that special moment more special, I think, overall. Now, Matthew Wood had gone on to reflect on Christensen's own reaction to seeing his performance after like adding all of this, noting that he was very happy to hear what he did during that pivotal sequence, saying that, in quote, and Hayden Christensen, I know personally, I saw him after we aired it, and he was very happy to hear that. Like, his performance was there. We wanted to preserve that humanity, and that was something that was done in the mix, ending that quote right there. Matthew Wood had also reflected on making the moment feel very special, also saying that, in quotes. So we're just really set aside this moment to be very special and reverent to those two legacy amazing characters, and let their drama come through at the same time, as well as the fun sound effects and the amazing music that John Williams had made there to come through. That was the job of the mixer, which was fantastic there, ending that quote right there. In the duel itself, Kenobi was buried by rocks when Vader unleashed his force of powers on his former master. Despite that, Kenobi managed to power through, using flashes of his memories with Luke and Leia as his anchor, bringing him back through and giving him that motivation just overall. Matthew Wood had explained that how the combined efforts of the sound and the picture crew had helped showcase those right moments during that sequence, saying that, in quote, we wanted to feel that Obi-Wan, when he gets buried by the rocks there, we wanted to feel this shutdown and then his resurgence. A lot of that was sort of mapped out by Kelly Dixon and Josh Earl in the picture department, coming up with a moment of where we're almost hearing flashbacks of that, what's happening inside Obi-Wan's head. We had a lot of material there to work with, legacy material, and we also just wanted to showcase the right moments that show his acceleration of, I'm going to bust out of here and continue on, ending that quote right there, showing us of it's not just all picture or it's not just all sound, it's a perfect blend and a perfect mixture of both of those elements. Now, the sound supervisor had also acknowledged that Obi-Wan's strong force powers and how the right dynamics and balancing had helped navigate the character's newfound strengths of what we see him be able to uncover really throughout the entirety of the show, but also in that final duel, saying that, in quote, you see Obi-Wan do some things that we've never seen before as far as his strengths are concerned. He's picking up giant rocks and spinning them around and all that. So that's just the dynamics of that mix and that balancing of that to feature those moments, ending that quote right there. Meanwhile, Bonnie Wild, one of Obi wan Kenobi's re-recording mixers, had revealed that there was trial and error in trying to different rock sounds for that duel, noting that some of that is legacy and some of that is new design, of how there are some like sounds or even like bits of music of where they had like used before in Star Wars, and then there's a mixture of bit of both, of where they're using like some of those older sounds and then making their own new ones, as she had said that, end quote. Scott had particular ideas of the rock sounds, and there's just trial and error. So John Barland, the designer, and Mike Levine, one of the sound effects editors, were trying out different rock sounds. Some of that is legacy and some of that is new design, and just things like that, because when you get the music as well, it's figuring out of what's going on and what's going to work well. you discover new challenges when you're putting it all together. Ending that quote right there. This year all being said, I think coming full circle, coming back to it, why George Lucas's presence in the Star Wars projects are just important here overall, and that small, like, I guess, of a presence that he had here on working with the Obi wan Kenobi show. Maybe it's not much of an involvement as I had initially, like, thought here at the beginning of the video, because remember, I'm kind of blindly reading this article and kind of reacting to it here at the same time as recording. Although Star Wars has unheard in a new era, George Lucas still has a consistent presence behind the scenes. The renowned filmmaker visited the set of The Mandalorian Season 2 when it was filming, and he even gave the show producer Dave Filoni some tough love during that production. The reveal of Lucas had deep involvement in organizing Obi wan Kenobi's sound team cemented the fact that the filmmaker still has a passion for Star Wars overall, and based on Matthew Wood and Bonnie Wild's comments, Lucas's work also has allowed the sound team to experiment with blending legacy sounds from Skywalker sound into new ones in order to enhance fans' audio experience. I'm not saying that this is like the return of George Lucas or anything within Star Wars, it's just nice to know that he has some type of presence here and guidance here, and with working into the new Star Wars era and with Disney and everything of the great projects that they've been putting out here on Disney+. I also just think it's really interesting and very cool to hear some new behind the scenes, some new insights here for the Obi wan Kenobi show here. That overall creation process, man, I am such a sucker for behind the scenes, especially when it comes to Star Wars. Guys, this year all being said, let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you guys are all thinking. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.